Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Closers. Today we have Tierny Jordan. She's going to share with us how to make six figures as a realtor. She was actually able to accomplish this in only 2 years as a realtor. So this episode is going to be packed with useful information if this is one of your goals. Let's dive right into it. Welcome to Coffee with Closers. In this series, we interview top real estate producers that are out there making big things happen in the real estate industry. That way you can learn from their failures and their big wins so you can start winning more in your real estate business. So Tierny, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. I'm excited to get into this one. I know many agents have the goal of getting to six figures, so I think this is going to be a great one. So welcome to the show.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I've helped thousands of agents over the years reach their goals. And I would say about 90% of them, when I sit down and ask, hey, what are you looking to do? They all say that six figures. Yeah, so.
That makes total sense. Yeah, I think it's the number that everybody has in their head when they decide to leave corporate America and become a full-time agent.
Yeah.
So that is awesome. So based on that, like what's the big pieces of advice that you can give? Because you accomplished it in a quick amount of time. So
Yeah.
what's
So
the
the,
secrets here?
so the biggest thing is, like, for me was working backwards into, okay, where do I want to be? So if it's six figures, I need to take that number. I'm really like a practical person, so I like to see the numbers, right? So I do two things. One, I look at the opportunity in my marketplace. So that's where I started off. So look in the MLS, look at how many deals sold last year in the markets that you work. So you can see, like, man, there's opportunity here, right? You can get real detailed and go into seasonality. So you can see, like, okay, I can sell the majority, during spring, summer. It slows down at the end of the year and it gets real slow at the beginning of the year. So you can work those things in there. But just look at the market and see what's out there, because that encourages you to say, you know what, there's opportunity. And no matter what the market does, if it turns more into a buyer's market or turns more into a seller's market, it doesn't matter. There's always going to be deals out there for us, right?
Yes.
So once you take that first step and figure out that there is opportunity out there, then you work your way backwards into what you need to do each day from the number. So if it's 100,000, you take 100,000. You want to add your expenses. So if you're with a brokerage and you have a cap, right? You want to add the brokerage portion in there. You want to add your E&O in there. You want to add any monthly fees, any marketing fees. Add all your expenses to the amount that you want to make. Then you want to look at, what is your average sales price going to be? So for example, if your average sales price is 500,000 and you're making a 3% commission, that's 15,000 on the table. If you're on a team, take whatever your split is, or if you're making 100% of it, remember you've already factored in your broker split into your expenses, right? By adding the cap. So take the amount that you're going to have on the table per transaction and divide that into how much you want to make. So what you want to make includes the salary that you want plus all of your expenses. And that tells you how many transactions you need to do to hit that number. And what I found is, on average, it takes about 120 conversations to a closing, okay? So if you have to do 20 closings to hit your number, you multiply that by 120 conversations, and that tells you how many people you need to talk to, right? Now you're going to say, okay, you're going to look at your calendar and you're going to say, how many days am I going to work this year to hit my goal, right? And you're going to divide those number of days into the amount of conversations you need to have. And that's going to tell you how many people you need to talk to each day. Now, there are several ways. If you don't have any money, you can go out there and door knock. You can, host open houses. Or you can generate leads online. So there's ways to get in front of people, but that's like the formula, just working backwards. Now, if you run a team, you wouldn't be a new agent, but you can take the same sort of philosophy. Like if you're like, okay, I'm pulling myself out of business and I need to look at financially, like what do I need to do to hit my number without me in the business anymore. So you need to come up with your per agent productivity number if you're a team leader or you're a broker. And that's by taking the average of how many agents you have for the year. So just go month by month. Like I had 10 agents in January. I had 12 in February. I had 8 in March. So take your average agents and then take the total amount of transactions you closed for the year to come up with, okay, how many transactions do I get per agent per year? Most team leaders, if you run a decent ship, okay, you're gonna get about 10 transactions per agent per year. So if you need to do 200 deals to hit your number, to remove yourself from the business, right, with that per agent productivity, then you'll know, okay, this is how many agents I need to have to hit the 200 deals. So if it's 10 agents into 200, then
That's
10,
awesome.
yeah. If it's 10 deals per agent, then you divide that into the 200, you would need 20 agents to hit your number.
That
So
makes
it's a financial thing.
Yeah, it's reverse engineering it. So that's smart. And I think the key data that you provided is the number of conversations that you've seen across a broad spectrum of agents. And I think that's a key question that agents have. They're like, I get it, cool, but how many do I actually need to talk to? Like, what's the expectation? And I feel like a lot of new agents that just get in that have this goal of hitting 100,000, they're going to call 10 people and sell a house.
Right.
It takes a lot more, and these are, just to clarify, these are conversations, like actual conversations, not just dials. They have to answer, you have to get into a conversation and have
A real
dialogue.
estate conversation. A real estate
Yeah.
conversation, not just random people
Yeah.
in the supermarket. Hi, I'm a realtor. No, like an actual conversation about real estate. So 120 conversations on average lead to a closing. And I used to have agents like track everything, right? We still track everything because numbers are the language of business. So as you get into things and as you start figuring out where are my holes, like where are my opportunities for growth as I'm growing this business, you really need to track your numbers. So you can run different campaigns, and say, okay, just track the different campaigns. So when I door knock, it takes this many conversations to get an appointment and this many appointments to get a listing and this many listings to get a closing. So track all these numbers so you can see where's your time best spent and where's your money best spent, right? Say you're spending a whole bunch of money on a campaign and nobody's answering the phone or all the numbers are disconnected. That's not a good lead source. So you want to switch that up. Say you're having a whole bunch of conversations, but you're not getting any appointments. You got to work on your scripts. Say you're getting a ton of appointments, but not taking any listings or not writing any contracts. Well, you need to work on your presentation skills, right? Say you're getting a whole bunch of listings, but nothing's selling. Well, you need to work on how you price properties or making sure you're talking and listing motivated sellers, right? So numbers, make sure you're tracking them because that is going to be the needle that tells you where you need to focus your time and energy, where your opportunities for growth are.
That's awesome. And yeah, you're right. Whatever gets tracked, usually you can figure out what's going on and find the root problem of what's really happening. Like you said, I mean, everything's a direct connection to those numbers. Now, how would you track those numbers? Like agents are just thinking like, hey, do I have to write this down on a piece of paper, or is there a more advanced tool that you use to do that? So
I created a little book, and my team uses that book. I'm trying to see if I have one, but we call it the Grind Book. I'm going to change the name though. I said I was going to change it to the Freedom Book because there's freedom in the numbers, right? Instead of like grind, but it's coil bound, and I have it, and there's basically a daily activity sheet, and it has your calls, your contacts, everything on there, and there's numbers listed out so that you just hash it. You just put a hash on it. So we write everything down because when you're sitting on the phone, you need to be writing it down, right? So we write it down in our Grind Book, It's coil bound. A whole quarter is in that book. And it's not like you have sticky notes everywhere or loose papers everywhere.
Yeah.
And then we put it in Google Sheets too. So I look at the numbers on the Google Sheets, but the books are really for the agents so they can have everything in one location. Like if something happens with your CRM, God forbid, you still have everything in that one book. So that's how we do it.
That's smart. That's really good. And I think there's something about, writing everything down. It makes it almost feels like you're accomplishing more, because
Right.
prospecting, it, like you said, it's a perfect name for it. It is kind of a grind, right?
Yeah, it is a grind, but I like the freedom number a little better. But I can show you. Oh, I was gonna pull it up, the thing. But if somebody wants a copy of that grind book, they can reach out, like message me, and I can send them a copy of it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I'll take a copy as well for my team. That'd be good.
Sure.
I like that idea a
Absolutely.
lot. So that's really awesome. And now what are the I love the numbers piece, because I feel like when agents just get started, or even team leaders that just pull the trigger and like, hey, you know what, it's time to start a team, they don't focus on the numbers enough. And I think that really outlines the true story of what's happening in your business. Like you said, it's the language of business. So that's huge. But what hangups do you find that people have when they move towards this goal of working towards that six-figure income?
There's two things. One, they go gung ho for 2 weeks and then they stop doing
Yeah.
that work because we're working from behind, right? So what you do today is not going to put money on the table today. Even if you met with a seller today and they decided to list, you still have to market the property, you still have to negotiate, get a contract, it still has to go through the process to close, right? So anything that you do is not going to put money on the table today. So a lot of people get hung up on that because it's deferred gratification. You're not getting paid right now. So you have to keep working, keep grinding, keep making the calls, keep tracking your numbers, keep doing the things that aren't sexy, right? That aren't fun, to get to the closings, to get to the showings, to get to the listing appointments. Those things don't happen every day. So a lot of people get hung up on that because you're not getting gratified when you do the work. So that's one thing. The other thing is people get busy, right? So they start getting those appointments and they stop doing the prospecting and the follow-up. But if you do that, you're not going to have money in 2 to 3 months. If you just work with the clients that you've been working to get for the last 2 to 3 months, like what you're doing now is going to put money in your pocket in 2 to 3 months. So when that money starts showing up, or those buyers and sellers start showing up that you've been working for the last couple of months to get, if you put all your time into them and you don't allocate time to continue to prospect for new business, then you're going to be without money. And that's what most people do. That's why the average agent does 6 deals a year. So they'll close, 1 to 2 deals. They don't do anything while they're working those. And then they have to build the pipeline up again to close another 2 deals. And then they don't do anything. So it's like 6 deals a year is what the average agent does. So I think those are the two big hangups we see with people.
That makes total sense. It's like the real estate income roller coaster per se. You have
Yeah.
that big up, you have the big down, you have the big up, the big down. And I feel like that's what leads to a lot of burnout too.
Yeah.
Agents are like, hey, this can't be consistent. I have to go back and get a W-2 job. And it's really as simple as just tracking your numbers and doing the daily activities, like you said,
Yeah.
of prospecting, marketing, all that kind of stuff. So that's huge. Now, realistically, if somebody follows that plan, how long would it take somebody, if they did everything right, to get to that six-figure number, if they really went at it? Like, what do you see on your end? Because you've coached, a lot of agents and you've got a lot of people there.
It just depends on how much time and effort they put in, number one. It depends on what lead source they're working from. Like I've had an agent make $50,000 in 1 month, right? I've also had a brand new agent when I was at Keller Williams, who at the market center, they were like, this agent's been with us for 8 months. He hasn't closed 1 deal. can you talk to him? He's interested in joining a team. And I really wasn't hiring new agents at the time, but I interviewed him. And I realized, I'm like, he just needs a little bit of direction. Like, he has the drive, he needs a better lead source and a little bit of direction. And he made six figures. So I think if you have the right plan, you have the right partnership and mentorship, coaching, you can make six figures within a year for sure.
That's
Like,
awesome. That's awesome. That's a game changer for a lot of people that are getting into real estate. That's their big goal. And within 1 year, if you just double down, do the work, you can be, where you want to be.
yeah.
That's excellent. All right. That's great. So anything else you want to add in before we wrap it up?
I think that's it.
That's it.
Take some of the tools that I mentioned, just working the numbers backwards, committing yourself to those money-making activities, which is lead gen, lead prospecting, lead follow-up, going on qualified appointments, negotiating contracts, and closing deals. If you focus your time and energy on those money-making activities, you'll get to six figures in no time.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So if you want a copy of that grind book, definitely reach out to Tierny. You can find her on social media or drop a comment in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. And then I'll reach out to Tierny and, we'll get it hooked up for you. So thanks so much for tuning in, Tierny. Thanks for joining us. Lots of good information here. And if you like this kind of content for real estate entrepreneurs, definitely hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.